Hello and welcome to the Fabulous Picture Show. I'm Amanda Palmer. This week at the Everyman Cinema Club, we have the award-winning Israeli film Beaufort, made by Joseph Cedar, who's joined us today. His film is about the Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon in 2000. It's been a huge hit at home, for reasons we'll discover later. Also coming up, is sci-fi epic Sunshine as deep and meaningful as it thinks it is?
I'll see you, Mandela.
Is South African story Goodbye Bafana as believable as it wants to be?
Seems you know more than just our language, Mr. Gregory.
It's enough to ring every alarm bell in my brain.
And is veteran director Sydney Pollack right to fear his own masterclass?
Oh my God, shoot her!
But first, we meet British director Danny Boyle. After making Trainspotting 11 years ago, it seemed his career couldn't get any hotter. So will his latest film, Sunshine, ignite its audiences?
You should see it up here, guys. It's pretty impressive.
When humanity discovers the sun is running out of fuel 5 billion years early, they send a ship to kickstart the dying star with a nuclear bomb.
We have a payload to deliver to the heart of our nearest star. That star is dying, and if it dies, we die.
Icarus! Whoa, Icarus!
It's the science fiction film British director Danny Boyle has always wanted to make.
Icarus, stabilize us!
I'm at the opening Friday or Saturday nights of every sci-fi film that opens, and I don't do that with other types of films. But I'm there in the West End for Starship Troopers, Contact, Alien Resurrection, and like some of my favourite films are 2001, Solaris, and the first Alien film. So
those three that you've just said, they are in the higher echelons of
Yes.
sci-fi.
They are the masterpieces.
Tarkovsky's Russian epic Solaris and Stanley Kubrick's classic 2001
Just what do you think you're doing, Dave?
are more about exploring the vast open reaches of the human soul than excuses for laser fights. While Sunshine tackles these themes, there's also plenty of violence.
I like trash as well sometimes. I don't think there's anything wrong with trash. You can get too much of masterpieces sometimes. It becomes a bit tedious, you think.
But despite an infinity of inner and outer space to explore, the genre has limitations.
It is quite a narrow corridor that you're working in with sci-fi. It tends to be a ship, a crew, a signal.
A transmission? Out here?
And just as the distress signal kickstarts the entire Alien quadrilogy, it's also the beacon of the ill-fated first Icarus mission that signals disaster.
If I had to make a guess right now, I'd say we could adjust our trajectory.
Just to make it absolutely clear, there's no way we're going to do that.
But of course they do.
Fire and oxygen guarding.
There just isn't enough oxygen to get all of us there. We need to lose 2 more.
To help his actors understand having to save the world while living in a confined spaceship, Boyle made them all move in together.
97% of ship in full sunlight.
That was another one of Danny's brilliant ideas, which is to put us all living together in like student accommodation in the east of London.
So he told you after the contracts are signed?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's a good way to break the ice with actors, is to force them to do something that they don't particularly want to do. If you're going to start a film with people having lived together for 16 months on this journey, you've got to make some gesture towards that with the actor's preparation.
You are dying. All crew are dying.
We know we're dying.
Cillian Murphy plays the physicist in charge of the bomb. He experiences the trip as a spiritual journey to the source of life in the solar system. This is slightly making science, if not sexy, at least a little bit more tangible.
And it is kind of interesting that, you know, there's scientists have very, very, very prominent roles in this film, and I think that's very cool. It certainly got my interest in science renewed. I was very renewed by it, you know?
And as Icarus 2 has the best-looking scientist in the universe,
We have an excess of manliness breaking out in the comms center.
it might revive the interest of many.
You know, if a generation of people identify Cillian Murphy and Michelle Yeoh as scientists rather than, you know, the guy in Back to the Future or something as a result of this film, then we've done a great service to science.
1.21 gigawatts.
I know a lot of geeks out there who are just going to love watching your film. You know that.
They're great, because I tell you, they're what you call a loyal audience. The geeks turn up to sci-fi films. Yes. Regardless of reviews, they're there to judge them themselves. So God bless them, I say.
Taking notes, they will be.
There are only 4 crew members.
Negative.
Affirmative, Icarus, 4 crew, Mace, Cassie, Carzon, and me.
5 crew members.
Who's the 5th crew member?
Unknown.
In Goodbye Bafana, white South African jailer James Gregory turns his back on apartheid after bonding with his captive, Nelson Mandela. The film is based on Gregory's redemptive memoir, but are his stories too good to be true?
Which one is Mandela?
He's in solitary for talking in the passage.
For American actor Dennis Haysbert, this was the most daunting role of his career, playing real-life prisoner Nelson Mandela during his 27 years in jail.
How are you, Madam? Compose yourself. We don't have much time.
But this film's focus is the story of his prison warden, James Gregory, and how Mandela converted him from a racist
You with me and I'll make your life a lot more miserable than it already is.
to a supporter of his cause.
It seems you know more than just our language, Mr. Gregory.
I looked into that cell. I could not work for a good half hour or so. I just said, look, just let me sit in here for a while, and all the cameras leave, everybody leave. I just have to sit here for a while.
I do not understand.
While no one questions Mandela's story, there were doubts about Gregory's 1995 memoir.
There'll be no more glass between you and your visitors.
In his authorised biography by Anthony Sampson, Mandela said of Gregory, he knew us because he'd been responsible for reviewing our incoming and outgoing mail.
I will be able to touch.
The biography also quotes Mandela as saying Gregory had hallucinated many of the accounts of their relationship.
I've not touched my wife in 21 years.
You'll be fine, Nelson.
To me, the book is, it's something to be slightly interpreted. It's hard to absolutely know where the sort of truth is in it, but it's a great starting point as a reference.
But the credibility of the story isn't all South African audiences are worried about. After The Last King of Scotland,
You should have told me not to throw the Asians out in the first place. I begged. You did not persuade me.
and Blood Diamond,
Without me, you're just another black man in Africa, all right?
Goodbye Bafana is another African story told through the eyes of white people.
I mean, you know, Blood Diamond was recently on circuit in South Africa. I heard the people laughing in the cinema to Leonardo DiCaprio's accent.
American, huh?
Guilty.
Well, Americans usually are.
A lot of the time there's a frustration with the South African acting fraternity and filmmakers when they see our actors pushed into the background of the films and somebody from Hollywood placed at the forefront.
Oh, cute. Look at the little kefir lover.
I'm not a kefir lover.
Goodbye Bafana has yet to be released in South Africa, and it's already getting a mixed response in Johannesburg.
If you have an American playing Mandela, I mean, come on. Just doesn't do him justice, does it?
It doesn't bother me in the slightest, as long as obviously it, it promotes South Africa.
If it was someone South African, you would know a lot more.
I think people need to probably take it with a huge pinch of salt.
And there's one man whose opinion everyone is still waiting on.
From what I know, he has received a DVD, and God, I hope he likes it. You know?
It was called The Grindhouse. Theaters that played back-to-back movies with 2 explosive feature films.
Grindhouse sees the masters of balletic violence, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, join forces for a double bill of hardcore B-grade exploitation.
Roberts is a horror film because it couldn't happen.
I made you something.
Mine's a terror film because it could happen.
If you just stop right now.
Remember when I said this car was death-proof? You get the benefit of it, honey. You really need to be sitting in my seat.
In part 2, we go to a remote mountain in Lebanon with the film Beaufort, made by Joseph Cedar. Thank you for joining us. Now, this is a very significant mountain, isn't it?
Well, it's been significant for me in the past couple of years, but it's also
probably the most strategic mountain in southern Lebanon. And in our story, we tell the story of the last group of soldiers on this mountain.
Now, you've hinted that there's a personal story here, but we'll learn more about that in part 2.
He met her in the